Hello.
Hola.
What's going on?
Nothing much. How are you?
Doing great in America. Thanks for asking.
That's what's up. A lot of people ain't doing so great in America, and I figured another idea was sparked that we can definitely talk about.
I'm with it.
And what I like to talk about is why a lot of folks in places, not just in America, all over the world, you always find a tough individual, tough people, tough guys, tough folks. Why is everybody so tough, so angry? But when it comes to do tough work, they fold. So, I want to begin off with this because people watch TV, they watch movies, and through these situations, there's definitely some learning. A lot of people like to be entertained. It's one thing to be entertained, it's another thing to actually apply and learn. What did you gain from that entertainment? Because there's definitely truth within that entertainment. So, with that being said, I definitely want to touch base on certain situations that hopefully we can inspire people to not only change their ways of being that tough persona, but maybe encourage folks, if you're going to be tough for the right reasons. And to me, my personal opinion, tough people, what made a person tough, in my opinion, was doing the right thing. Taking care and protecting your family, your children, your people, your communities. That was tough because it was never that easy. Anybody that had a tough persona, trying to act like they were the tough individual, somebody that you had to fear, because fear was never tough. Love was always tougher. Fear actually is afraid of love because there's power in love.
Mhm.
So folks were always tough to do the wrong thing, and I'm like, that's easy. Anybody can go out there and do the worst. Anybody. Anybody has the power and the capabilities of going outside, being outside, and doing the unthinkable to anybody. That was never tough. What was tough is actually doing the opposite, doing the right thing, handling your responsibilities, protecting your people, like I've said. And before I get into certain situations on elaborating the word tough, since everybody's tough, but nobody's doing the real tough work, maybe you can elaborate for a moment on what your ideas are when it comes to tough folks.
I couldn't have said it better. Doing the right thing, holding a whole world or many different worlds on top of one's shoulders, as far as like the family, being the provider, the protector, the hunter, all of that. That's tough work. I feel the same way you do. They took that whole meaning, twisted it around, created a whole nother definition that has nothing to do with what it was originally meant for it. And now it became something like a bullying thing, like you got to be a tough guy. You got to bully the next bully just to look cool, How you mentioned, you watch these things on TV and you see, them in character. They're getting paid to act a certain way to send that message out there to let it be known this is a possibility of handling one situation. But people want to act a fool. People want to act tough when they don't need to act tough. and do the wrong thing for the wrong reason. Hence, we have people in chaos, people doing the wrong thing, and I just don't understand where being a tough guy is the cool thing now. You know, how about we go back to the original meaning, the original definition of being tough and holding down a village, you know, supporting a village, encouraging one another, empowering our brothers and sisters, you know, and encouraging the youth in our generation to grow, to be better, bigger, and stronger and tougher in the right ways.
You know, a lot of folks don't understand the influences off of television and off of movies. Like you said, folks are in character. Guess what? When they're out of character, the movie ends, they're still alive, living their lives. A lot of the influences, people don't understand there's a one-way street to this. And when you walk down that path of negativity, of being the tough individual, there's only so many outlets from those decisions. You're either dead or in jail. All, as history has revealed, all the tough people in the world ended up dead or in jail. I remember when I used to roll with a certain circle of folks, I used to have some of the homies constantly doing tough things, getting involved in criminal activities, in and out of jail. Constantly. And I used to look at them like, yo, you need to change your career, homie. This ain't working out for you. Like, you being a criminal for a career, you suck at it. Because you always get caught. You know? The toughest people never got caught. The toughest people use their intelligence. The toughest people ain't want to have a problem. But if a problem came looking for them, they answered those problems. And that's where a lot of folks, they think this is a game. There's nothing funny about this game called life. There's consequences, and there's a responsibility to yourself and to the people around you. Everybody is a tough top dog till they tough top pop, get popped. They ain't tough no more then. When does the cycle end? Well, we realize this is just not the way. Again, there was a time and a situation where, like I said, you know, I used to roll with certain individuals, and I'm all about building the people up, building the community up. And maybe these weren't the right individuals of choice, but I saw something good in them. I saw a little bit of good in them, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I can assist in helping change the way, because I could see how ugly this world can be. As there was a time in my life where I as well was consumed by that same energy and became very ugly. So I'm thankful, and I've told folks I'm thankful God found me before I found them. So there were situations, and I'm going to elaborate, just summarize it, just so folks can understand, if they really never paid attention, how real life can play out. But even, you have to watch your circle, folks. Because those same people that are claiming to be tough are not your friends. Because your real friends don't want to see no harm come to you. They want to keep you at peace. And if you're really surrounded with good brothers and sisters who are living a tough life, the grind, you're going to do what you got to do to survive, stay afloat, but also try to stay out of trouble. Because it ain't hard to find trouble. I remember a scenario where a situation was brought to my attention, and a friend of mine at the time was talking mighty heavy about he was gonna go handle that situation. So I was like, okay. So you are aware of the situation that you're bringing to my attention, and you're gonna go handle that, right? He's like, yeah. Talking hella greasy on the phone. So one day, I was, going about my business. Saw my homie. He waved at me like, yo, Mo, come over here. Yo, the situation right over here. So I pulled over my car. And I'm like, oh, this is that situation you was talking about, right? He like, yeah. I was like, did you handle that like you said you was? Because you was very heavy on the phone like you was about that life. He's like, he stalled. I was like, yo, bro, where's that same energy that you say when you see the situation, you're going to follow up on that. Handle your business. Now, remind you, this individual is 6'2", 6'3", probably a good 250 pounds. Not your average miniature munchkin. Big guy. Usually folks around the way were intimidated by this big guy. So I'm like, all right, big man, go handle your business. Because I'm usually, according to him, his size, I'm the smaller guy. So let's see how this plays out. Again, he was not moving. So,
wow.
And this was a situation that involved, well, not my name in it. So now I have no choice but to follow up on my end to clear my name. So I get out of my vehicle, because this whole time I'm in my vehicle waiting to see the whole thing unfold. I get out of my vehicle, go to the location of where the individual of the situation resided. It could have been anybody, any crew, any clique. But again, I felt at that time I had a name to clear, my name, out of respect for myself. So I go to the property. I'm thinking this big guy with me is with me. I look behind me. The big guy that I thought was with me was pretty much across the street, looking like he was ready to run.
Wow, that's crazy.
So I'm turning around like, where you going? I'm about to handle something. You ready to dip on me? Nah, you got this. Oh, now I got this. I bet. Make a long story short, I hollered at the situation. They came to the front door. And as soon as they opened the door, yo, Mo. I was like, yo, you? Because, I get around the way and I know a lot of people. You? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, hold on. It ain't all that cool. I'm not here to be nobody's friend. I'm here to figure some things out. I didn't really know it was you with this situation going on. And remind you, like I said, it could have been anybody, any situation. And at that point in my life, I really ain't had nothing to lose.
Right.
I was ready to go all the way because I lost so much.
Mm-hmm.
And what can you do with somebody that's lost so much that has nothing to keep them in this life? And they ready to go. When you run into that person that is ready to go, where death itself is no longer a fear factor. When you're ready to stare death in the face, ready to go to meet the Father. So, thankfully, that day, now that I look back, God was with me. Because again, it could have been anybody, but it was actually somebody that I knew. So, when the understanding of the situation, how it played out, pretty much this individual was telling people not to play my music, not to be doing anything like that. So it got back to me that they was trying to shut me down. So the individual, when they saw me face to face, it usually happens this way. People will talk one way, but when you have that one-on-one face-to-face where they're not around their people, not around their friends, that whole tough persona is out the window real quick. So now it's you and I one-on-one on a level playing field. let's have a real discussion to figure out what we're going to do from here on out. Because if it's going to be a situation, it's going to be a situation right now. Or we going to move on. The whole, yo, Mo, I'm like, look, make a long story short, I'm hearing these things with my name involved. You telling people this and that. Oh, no, and this person tried to put a little twist to it. I'm like, let's just cut to the chase. We not doing that. I stand behind my name, and if people want to do what they do, they want to rock out, neither you or nobody going to go out there putting the dirt on my name in that fashion. At least not without bringing it to my attention directly. So, that situation came to a wrap. That was put under the brush. But it always made me look back like, yo, you really can't count on nobody no more to follow through. Especially, you got to really pay attention to your circle. Because I used to run with a big circle. You know, not to get too deep, but folks that were about that dirt, about that life. But again, folks was getting in and out of jail, getting caught up in crime. And I'm like, you got to change your career. Maybe you're better off being a doctor. Maybe you're better off doing missionary work. Do something else besides just destroying your own life. Because it's just not working for you. And unless you just want to go all out and just spend the rest of your life confined, you got to figure something else out. You know, I've had a lot of tough people, and I'm gonna throw me in the middle of it all. I've had a lot of people, tough people, talk on my name in a bad, negative way. But they never wanted to have that one-on-one confrontation. They never wanted to have that behind the scenes, away from the people situation. Everybody want to put on a show, but nobody want to really be about that life, behind the scenes. That's when I realized these folks ain't tough. Just like Scarface, what Tony Montana say. You need people like me, so you could point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy. What's that make you? Look good? You not good. You just know how to hide. Me, I don't have that problem. Me, I tell the truth, even when I lie. So say goodnight to the bad guy. And there was a lot of folks that try to tarnish a brother's name. And especially where I'm from, the town is very small. It ain't hard to pull up and do pop-ups on just about anybody. And many, many times, those pull-up and pop-ups were made necessary in my book at those times. And those conversations were very different. Some of those conversations rocked out. Some of those conversations, they got rocked on. So, with that being said, it's just folks really need to understand this word tough and what it's become, the label of being tough, is an ill illusion. An ill illusion. It's not real. Because the toughest people I've seen came from single mothers doing the right thing for their children. Came from teachers having compassion for their students. Came from real people who have changed their lives trying to lead the lost to be found towards walking the way of light with God. Police officers holding other police officers accountable for their actions. There's all walks of life. You got a good side and a bad side. Good apples and bad apples. Angels and demons. A lot of people go by what they see in the physical, but not enough of the spiritual. And again, time and time, I'm going to always reveal and reflect from the spiritual aspect. Because when we open that spiritual eye, you get to see things for what they are, not what they appear to be. And if a lot of people would open up their spiritual eye and really get in tune with what's going on within not only themselves, but the things around, the real horrors are revealed on how lost these people are, how confused and conflicted these people are. Folks need to understand, you got confused, lost people who still have heart. Then you got good people who always had heart. And then you got those really bad energies that there is no saving. And how my man Doggy Diamond said one day, shout out Doggy, some of y'all just gotta die. Some of y'all just gotta die. And when he said that, I was like, yeah, man. Yeah. You could see them a mile away. And there's some spirits that are just, there's no turning. There's no changing. They just ready to go. And they need to go back to their father, which is the Prince of Darkness. Because in this world, there's plenty of life. Plenty of land. But what has happened is the control factors that have regulated such life have embedded into the minds of folks to really believe that this is the way. And how far from the truth that way is truly revealed. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I couldn't have said it any better. And I love the way you break shit down. I'm going to say that because you get to the core of it. And just to, go off of what you were saying, sometimes they just got to die. That's it. Like, they don't go down that rabbit hole so far, so deep, that there is no way to come back up, And once you get lost in the source like that, it's just best if you just be gone, because now you're going to pollute everybody with your negative energy. You're going to do more harm than good, And sometimes we just got to get rid of those people, because we got this thing called America, and look at everybody going crazy. This whole pandemic, you know what I'm saying? People don't know how to act right. Everybody's so fucking tough, right? But then when they say, hey, there's a fucking virus that's going to kill you, get a fucking, this, that, whatever the case is, what happened? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you can't come to your own understanding of what needs to be understood. You can't do your research and understand what needs to be understood. No, you got to put on this whole facade, this whole persona of being fake, being tough, creating a whole illusion. And it doesn't even make sense because, again, who are you impressing? Like, who are you showing off to? Because there are still good people in this world where we are able to make good decisions, educated decisions. And, that story that you were talking about, it was like, it was a big ass giant, because that guy is, whoever he is, was tall as hell. Once you 6-7 feet tall, you like Shaquille O'Neal size, you know what I mean?
Right.
And for you to be that big, people look at you, and it's like, oh, wow, that has to have some type of force behind it, And for that giant to be across the street while you handling your handles is like, what happened, tough guy? Like, this was a situation you needed to hold your ground, and you just flopped, It reminds me of David and Goliath, that whole story. Prime example. Little dude taking on a big dude. And he ain't even had to put in like army work. He used his mind, he used his brain, and he used the resources available to him, and he took that giant out cold.
Right.
One hit wonder.
Right. Right.
And it's like, people gotta wake up, smell the coffee, and understand what toughness is really about. And I feel like once they understand that tough guy language, we can use that strength in the village to protect one another,
Right.
And we don't have to be tough for the wrong reason, It's just one day at a time, man. We got to take it one day at a time, one soul at a time, one person at a time, Because looking at the grand scheme of things, it's a lot. This is a lot of work. We're talking about a big-ass picture, and we just two people having a great conversation, having core conversations. Hopefully we do the right thing by getting this message out to the right people, So therefore it could carry on the good message, and our whole mindset as America could get right and do the right thing.
You know, a lot of my peers, I always gravitated to the elders, to the older crowds. So even a lot of people don't understand, I was the baby in the situations. I was the little big brother. I always dealt with older people who were really supposed to be my role models. And it was like the roles were reversed, and it was like I became theirs. I would always look at them like, yo, what you doing? What's wrong? And again, these were tough people. But again, any situation I ever encountered, if I saw a whole crowd, a whole crew, I would never go after the little guy. I would go right directly to the big guy and set that example. Because usually that big guy is the one with his chest poked out, ready to make an example. So if we're going to make an example, let's set that example. And once I've set that example, let's see what the rest of your flock going to do. Obviously, like I said, I've changed my life. I've dedicated my life to getting right with God. Nobody's perfect. You know, we all still have our struggles. But I would say this. A lot of folks don't realize, no matter what you've done, you're only one step away from turning it back around and getting right with God.
Amen.
A DJ, one mic, the MC would say, this is hip hop. Come on now, this is hip hop. What?